Today on the Eat to Live podcast.
Food addiction. You are a great person to talk to because you actually are very vocal and you've said this to a lot of people that you've suffered from it.
And it got to a point where it was so bad, I told Dad I was listening to him and I told him I fired him as my doctor. You also have deep regret the next day.
Yeah.
And while you're binging, this is what happened to me, is I would think in my head, I won't eat tomorrow. But that's why I think education is so powerful, because it gives people the power to make their own choices.
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Cara, thank you for joining me on the Eat to Live podcast. I'm really excited because today we're going to talk about strategies to resolve food addictions and how to kind of have freedom from food, how to have a life where you don't feel trapped by unhealthy food that are kind of living your life for you. So, Cara, why don't you give us a little definition about what food addiction really is and what to look for?
I think it's really important to understand that food addiction is a real neurobiological process. It affects the brain's reward system in a way that's similar to drugs and alcohol.
Wow.
It causes a dopamine surge in the brain that wants more and more. You can have a similar withdrawal where you need, or similar effect where you need more to get that reward, just like drugs and alcohol. And you can also have withdrawal, like fatigue, brain fog, anxiety. Food addiction is an addiction.
Yeah,
That's,
totally.
I think, something that people need to really understand and an important message to take home from this episode.
Mm-hmm. And like alcoholism, do you feel like people have a genetic predisposition?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I think a lot of it's environment. I think a lot of it's emotional, just like alcohol. You know, usually alcoholics, a lot of that times that comes from a tragic thing that happens in their life. And I think food addiction can be the same way.
Except Dad always says this food addiction actually it's a really hard thing to struggle from because food's everywhere and you also need it to survive. Like alcohol, you could abstain.
Right, you can abstain from alcohol, you can abstain from heroin.
Food you need to survive and it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
So it's a really tough problem that needs to be addressed, and people going through it need to know that there are helpful things that they can do to help this, even though it is such a tough problem they're dealing with.
And the packaged food industry is also marketing to create food addicts.
Mm-hmm. So
it's really hard when things are constantly being pushed at you to say, be a food addict, be a food addict, be a food addict.
And they're profiting on it, which is kind of crazy. So
sad.
Yeah. Marketing is really, drug companies and fast food companies, they're all profiting off people. It is. It's not really natural. And I think once you start realizing that, maybe that'll help you break up a little bit with these foods that aren't helping you. They're actually hurting you.
I love how Dad always says he wants his patients, he's trying to get his patients to not have to come to him.
Yeah.
You know,
the famous line, I hate going to doctors. I won't even go to myself.
Yeah.
I'm
totally.
Honestly, God bless, because doctor's offices aren't fun. No offense. Your office is awesome.
Oh yeah, my office is gonna be great. And I'm really excited to help people.
Yeah,
but it's true. We're teaching you how to do this on your own.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's make this a happy visit, not a sad visit.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, okay, food addiction. You are a great person to talk to because you actually are very vocal and you've said this to a lot of people that you've suffered from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's so cool that we actually have your perspective, and not only did you suffer from it, you overcame it.
Definitely. I'm on the other side, and I haven't really talked about this much because it's something that I struggled with for so many years and it's still pretty recent. I do feel like I'm completely on the other side, which is really exciting, but I should probably explain how I got there and everything.
Yeah. So your health journey hasn't always been easy. You actually were diagnosed with Lyme disease, and that was kind of the impetus of some issues that snowballed. So can you explain what happened?
Yeah. So I was a camp counselor in Massachusetts. I got Lyme disease from being at that camp, and I had to take a lot of antibiotics because when you have something like Lyme, there's no other option for you. You have to take antibiotics. You know, we don't recommend it for a lot of other things, but you have to. And that was a really traumatic experience because then I got cystic acne after I went off the antibiotics. And then about, 8 months later, I started having this really, really, really bad stomach pain. Like my gut was just all messed up. And then about a year after that, I went to naturopathic medical school where I learned that I had sick building syndrome, which is apparently predisposed for people who have had Lyme.
Wow.
So it's all correlated. And what sick building syndrome is when you go somewhere and you feel really sick. I would sit in the building and I would get an immediate migraine. I would be bloated where it's looking like I'm 6 months pregnant and have stabbing stomach pain.
Yeah.
I was, you know it. I mean, I would text you every day, like call you crying. I was in so much pain from being in that building. And I did so much to try to, minimize my exposures. COVID really helped me because when we went online, a lot of my symptoms did get better from not being able to be in person. And then when we went back to in person, my symptoms came back. But in all this time, I went through a lot of ups and downs and trying a lot of different things, working with dad, trying to figure out why I didn't feel good.
I think it's shocking because for the first time in your life, you experienced probably what so many people experience, which is I'm sick and I don't know how to get better. And working with dad from a place of desperation, really.
Totally. And it got to a point where it was so bad. I told dad I was listening to him and I told him I fired him as my doctor. I saw probably 5 or 6 different other doctors, some naturopaths, some conventional doctors. I got CT scans. Like I did it all.
You got a CT scan?
I think so. Of my brain. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I did a bunch of GI tests with a gastroenterologist. I fired dad.
I remember you said you get everyone else better, but you can't get me better.
I did. Yeah. I said that to him. And I feel really bad for saying that to him because imagine hearing that from your daughter. He probably felt really bad.
He did. He told me that. He was like, I don't know what's going on with her and why the diet. And he just kept pushing the same story, which was do it 100%, 100%.
Mm-hmm. And he just sounded like a broken record to me. And now looking back, I wasn't doing exactly what he was saying. But after seeing all of those doctors and still not getting better, and a lot of them telling me things, I was like, that's so wrong. And this doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to do that. I rehired dad. So
yeah. Well, and also I just feel like it gave you, people say you learn from failures and you learn from adversity. Like you are such a better physician and such a wealth of knowledge because of these experiences you went through, because you really put yourself in your patient's shoes.
Absolutely. And I saw how frustrating it is when people don't listen to you. I would go to a doctor, explain them all my symptoms, and they would write me a treatment plan for something I feel like I didn't even talk about.
Really?
Yeah, just they're sending the same patient, the same people, the same things.
Well, and also, depending on who you go to, every doctor has a different treatment plan too. So people think, for those like who maybe don't come from such a medical family, don't realize that doctors are just people and they learn things and have their own biases or beliefs or experience that with things that have helped people. And I think what's so cool about what you and dad do is it's healing from the inside out. So it's the same protocol that will let your body heal from the inside out.
100%. So back to my story with what happened on my food addiction is when I was feeling so sick, I rehired dad and I decided that I wanted to do a water fast.
Right.
And I thought that was going to be the solution to my problems.
Yeah, it's probably like the most aggressive form of eating this way, right? It's like a feeling.
Totally.
Through fasting.
So I didn't eat for 6 days. I only drank water under dad's supervision. You have to do this under supervision. And I had never felt so amazing. My stomach that was stabbing me every night, my headaches that were constant. I had constant brain fog. I wasn't bloated anymore. I felt so good. I was like, I never want to eat again. I actually wanted to eat again. But you know what I'm saying? I really felt so great from not eating that I was like, food is my issue.
Yeah.
And so when I reintroduced foods, you have to do it a little bit slowly and then you start eating normally again. And I got so in love with how I felt from fasting that I wasn't eating normally again. I just remained not eating enough. I was eating fruit and mainly for meals.
You were keeping it very light.
I was keeping it very light because I was scared to eat.
Well, and I remember this being a really tough part of your issue is like food, the thing that you need to give you sustenance and to make you survive was also causing stabbing pains for you. So it was also making you in a lot of pain. So it's weird to have this trade-off on something that makes you feel good. And even a really nutrient-dense salad would cause stabbing pains because all the fiber was hard for you to digest.
Yeah, because the sick building syndrome made me very constipated.
Yeah. So that is just like such a hard trade-off of like you eat something to make you feel better. It's a slap in the face and you feel terrible. So I remember that just being really hard.
Right. And back then I also wasn't chewing very well. So I think that did play a role into my stomach already being off. And then I wasn't chewing well. And again, I came off of antibiotics and I had sick building syndrome. So my gut was just all messed up.
Yeah.
And so in feeling really good, I then realized I was really hungry. So at this point in my life, I was also lonely. I was dating. I had just gotten out of a relationship and I wanted to go on dates feeling really good. I wanted to put myself out there. I wanted to socialize with friends. So I would go out with eating not much that same day. And then I would come back home and stuff my face like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I couldn't control myself. And it was like I couldn't control my actions, and there was no one, nothing that was going to stop me. And it got to a point. So this happened over time. In the beginning, I started doing it and throwing up after. And then I moved forward and I stopped throwing up because I figured that was really bad for my gut and that was probably making the problem way worse. So then I started just binging and not throwing up. And what happened in that time period was I was not eating to go out and socialize and go on these dates and feel good. But the whole time during the date or during the time with my friends, all I was thinking about was how I wanted to go home to binge.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even present in those moments because I was just craving the binge.
Yeah. So when we hear things like for longevity, you want to do a moderate caloric deficit in the environment of nutritional excellence. I need to get that right. Moderate caloric deficit in the environment.
Moderate caloric restriction in the context of micronutrient excellence.
Thank you. This is why I keep you here. But what you were doing is a huge caloric deficit. You were doing the full-on caloric deficit.
Oh yeah, no, I was not doing that.
Right. Which is, I think after seeing you go through that is why I'm such an advocate for balance and making it a positive and making sure that you're eating the right stuff and really not trying to starve yourself, because that could lead to disordered eating, to a whole bunch of psychological things that are really hurting you, not helping you.
Well, I also wasn't eating any of the G-bombs. I was doing like some greens, of course, but I wasn't really doing beans because I had this perception in my mind that they were making me bloated.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing really that many nuts, I guess. I was mainly eating fruits and lettuce. So that's not enough nutrients. The whole thing about the Nutritarian diet is it's very precise nutrition.
Yeah.
And in order to be satiated, you need everything.
Yeah, totally. It really does make you so satiated.
I was also eating like a healthy ice cream sandwich. I would have like one of those and call that a meal.
Yeah.
Which that's like not very many nutrients. Like sure, yeah, I put blueberries in it, but.
And I feel like this time was such a good period of learning because you were nutritarian in the sense that you didn't eat processed foods and other foods that so many other people have in their house and lifestyle, but you saw gaps and holes that were really actually harming you in the end.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that is a really important distinction is that even healthy foods can be addictive.
Yeah.
Things like granola, peanut butter. I wasn't going home and going to Chick-fil-A and getting French fries. I was going home and eating 10 of those healthy ice cream sandwiches. Plus, even if I made like 3 avocado toasts, or I was going through my fridge and eating everything, but it was nutritarian foods.
Yeah. And I think
it was just a huge amount of calories.
And the fasting is definitely linked to this in the sense where I hear you and Dad, as you practice, you're a lot more cautious around fasting because you want to make sure introducing new foods is going really well and that you're not throwing off your hunger cues and being really confused when you come back. And fasting is kind of like a last resort because I wonder if you could have helped yourself by instead doing like a juice fast or really lightening your calories and then coming back so it wasn't so aggressive and losing your hunger cues and experiencing this, because I feel like the fast definitely contributed to some of the issues that you dealt with after.
I do agree, but I also think it was that I was in a calorie deficit for so much longer after the fast.
Yeah. So it wasn't a quick fast and then we're back and we're doing it all right.
No, it wasn't like I did a 2 or 3 day fast and then just went back to regular eating.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It was like I kind of did the fast and then it felt so good that I continued kind of fasting in a way, even though I was eating. It was just not a lot.
Which we always talk about this, and I've experienced this so much. If you're going out to dinner with friends, being very hungry is something you should be very cautious about.
It's the worst thing in the world.
Because it starts to change your brain. Your brain goes into fight or flight mode where I need to get my hands on food. I need to eat. And then if you're not eating the right foods, you're feeling not satiated. So you're feeling like you have to eat more and more and more. It's just I've been there even where I didn't have nutrient dense foods to satiate me. And I hate that feeling. I absolutely hate it.
I will say one thing about the binge eating that I experienced is that you also have deep regret the next day.
Yeah.
And while you're binging, this is what happened to me, is I would think in my head, I won't eat tomorrow. So it was this constant cycle of, I'm going to allow myself to binge. I'm not going to eat tomorrow because I have deep regret. And tomorrow's going to be the day that I find the right resource to quit the cycle.
Yeah.
And it was always that. And it's important to mention that I'm not talking about like numbers on a scale, but in this time period, I did gain about 30 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Right.
When I stopped throwing up and I was only binging.
I think you would agree, though, that probably the hardest thing that you had to deal with during this time period was the mental gymnastics. Probably the amount of psychological stress, guilt, anxiety that you were dealing with. Like I remember, and I knew everything you were going through these moments, and we tried to talk about it and do the best that I thought I was telling you the best advice that I could possibly give you at that time.
Oh, because you're trying to stop it. You physically can't.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, it was something that you needed to figure out and come to a solution on your own, I think. Was there anything I could have helped you with or said?
Oh, you absolutely did.
Yeah.
And there's things I actually was going to get into in a little bit, but it's great to say now is what helped me get on the other side.
Yeah.
And one of those things is actually you.
Oh my gosh.
When I was very anxious, depressed, binging, gave me two little pieces of paper with quotes on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I put one on my nightstand and one in my bathroom where I do my makeup.
Yeah.
And they helped me tremendously.
Do you know what the quotes were?
I can't remember what the quotes were. I have one of them was like something like, you say you're depressed, but it's your brain telling you otherwise when you're actually a happy person. Like something like that. It was a John Green quote, and I can't exactly remember what it was. I'll have to look it up later. But I did write down some quotes that I wanted to share because they've become from those two have become such a big part of my life. And I still have the piece of paper in my nightstand drawer. I've just switched my quotes around a little bit, but that was a few years ago that really, really helped me.
I do remember being in your bathroom once, washing my face and looking at a quote I wrote you and thinking, wow, I didn't remember that, but that's really nice to think about. And B, it's so nice to stare at something that really inspires you and changes your perspective for the better.
Mm-hmm.
So
perspective is so important. And it's one thing that really, really helped me.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you say you came out on the other side, do you feel like that happened with a sudden light, like a light going off, or that it was a slow transition?
It was a slow transition for sure.
Okay.
It definitely wasn't an overnight process.
Right.
I tried really hard with I started with a food addictions counselor. She's a therapist that specializes in eating disorders.
Right.
And that was a really great place to start for me, but I was still binging in that time.
Mm-hmm.
I was binging less when I was seeing her because of the recommendations that she gave me.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a slow process, like a 1 to 2 year process.
Wow. Okay. So tell us about that process a little bit. What helped you?
So with the food addictions counselor, one thing that I think is kind of important to say and crazy is that she actually told me to buy unhealthy food and encouraged me to keep it in everything that I would potentially want to binge on in the house so that it wasn't so restrictive. And she said restriction fuels obsession. So she told me to do that.
It's kind of like that forbidden fruit thing we've talked about before.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole idea was that you can access anything you want. And meanwhile, I was like, lady, you're not hearing me. I binge on healthy foods, A, because you're telling me to put ice cream in my house. I wouldn't even eat that because I don't see it as a food. And B, would you tell a heroin addict to go out and grab heroin and leave it in their house?
Or an alcoholic to just grab a whole bunch of beer and keep it in your fridge?
Right. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And one thing that I think is so important is these therapists, and even when I was in naturopathic medical school, I took a class on food addiction. They view it as restriction, but I want to flip the narrative here because as we're saying, perspective is so important. Let's look at it as abstinence. With alcohol, we recommend abstinence, right? So that alcoholics don't go out and get alcohol. It's not restricting them from alcohol. It's abstinence because they can't handle having alcohol.
And I think that's so important because people really view that as radical around food. When you're saying like, you could never have that. How long are you going to eat this way? But at the same time, alcoholics cannot do well with a little bit of alcohol.
And it's the same dopamine reward system we have in the brain. Biologically, it is the same.
This is why I'm so grateful that I know it was such an awful time in your life, but you have gained so much insight. And food addiction and this therapist, I'm so grateful her career exists because it's such a new and unknown field, but it's so new that we don't even know what the right advice is. We're putting together the pieces. And Dad's one of the first doctors that ever talked about this.
Right.
And you're going to do even better because we're learning more and more about it with every coming and passing year.
And the thing about this therapist was that she did help me a lot, I will say.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into that later, but she also was 100 pounds overweight. And she also was a food addict.
Right.
So she was giving me her experience and she wasn't out on the other side like I am today, telling you about my experience, how I overcame it.
Right.
So she was talking to me probably about ways that she was thinking about helping herself.
And I can appreciate that so much, exactly, because a lot of people get into these fields because they have come face to face with the problem and they want to be a part of the solution. And I'm so grateful for that, but also being open to that learning to make sure you're giving the right advice out there. Because I mean, this is so important for anyone that's dealing with an eating disorder. They deserve to come out on the other side and not be locked and chained by food and diet.
Absolutely. And when I took this food addictions class, I'm pretty sure it was actually called an intuitive eating class. And it was an elective that I was really excited to take because I was going through it.
Yeah, I remember
and
this.
They called it intuitive eating, right? And they also said to buy cookies, put them on the plate because then you're not going to want them if you can have them all the time, was the method. And in this class, what was so crazy is that I felt so judged from not wanting to live by this 80-20 rule where you can have whatever you want 20% of the times intuitively. I'm like, oh, so a diabetic is going to be okay with intuitively eating cake? It just didn't make any sense to me. And I was like, why? You're telling me that it's judging to and restricting to have people eat healthy foods, but then you're judging me for wanting to eat healthy foods.
Yeah, I remember you felt very judged for wanting to prioritize healthy foods. I mean, we feel those judgments all the time. But also, I think what's so important to realize is there is a biological response and a bad response to eating frankenfoods, to foods that are perpetually making you want to eat more. It's science. And if you eat some of the potato chip, French fries, low-calorie foods, you're gonna want more and more food because you're not meeting your nutrient load.
And that's why the 80-20 rule doesn't make sense, because if 20% of the time you're eating unhealthy foods, your body is never going to adjust and your taste buds are never going to change to crave that healthy food.
Exactly.
Even when you're eating the 80% of healthy food, you're always going to be thinking about when that 20% is coming. And people who say they eat the 80-20 rule, it's really the 50-50 rule.
Yeah.
It's never actually 20%.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it kind of reminds me about Sober Curious that we talk about so much, because me and you being nutritarians and having friends that drink and bar life in our 20s, this and that, we've dealt with people that want us to drink more a lot. And we always, say no more than one glass of wine a week, or at least this is my experience, no more. And I was feeling judged and feeling like I'm not fun, I'm not cool, because they all think I'm so obsessed with health that I won't relax and have a couple glasses of wine and be fun and be drunk and be all these things that you should be in your 20s. And ever since I quit drinking cold turkey, I just say I don't drink. I'm sober and I'm so proud of it. And I stopped with the mental gymnastics and I can just do what I want.
And nobody questions you.
No one questions
So my best friend from college, we used to drink together a lot. We actually did go out together a good amount. And she decided to completely stop drinking because she didn't like the anxiety that came with it.
Yeah.
The next day.
For sure.
And I watched people start thinking she was so cool for doing that, removing her anxiety. And she has the best personality ever. So everyone just thinks she's cool no matter what. But everyone thought she was cool. And I was like, I'm going to do that because nobody questions why she's not drinking. People just don't even go up to her and say, do you want to drink?
Right. Totally.
It's so much easier to just cut it out completely.
Liberating.
It's so freeing.
Mm-hmm. We love it.
We love it.
Sober Curious, no more. We're just sober.
And we just want to feel good.
I love it. No, truly. And I always tell people I have a good thing going on. I have a good thing going on up here in the body. I'm not really trying to mess it up with drugs. And yeah, I'm just going to keep on hiking, living my best life and doing my thing.
Who wants that anxiety, man?
Not me. Okay.
Not me.
Sorry. Okay, back to it. So steps to get on the other side of food addiction that is so similar to other addictions that we experience. So you really do believe in abstinence?
Oh, absolutely. Anything that's going to be addictive for you and that you can't control yourself with, get it out of the house. That is the number one thing you can do.
Okay. What about things like peanut butter and nuts that you were saying?
Yeah, if you can't control yourself with it, get it out of the house. During my healing process, I actually ended up putting things like nuts and peanut butter and almond butter in these small jars. And I was measuring out 1 to 2 tablespoons at a time and putting it in the jar, because when you're in that binge mindset or in that where you don't really know exactly how much to eat, I kind of lost how many calories. I just didn't know what to eat and how much. So I started measuring it out and putting it in jars.
You didn't have your hunger cues.
No, I didn't have my hunger cues.
You were confused.
I wasn't measuring it out every time I ate it. I had it already in preset jars. I would do this on a Sunday, let's say, and I would have it for a whole month in these actual jars that are really tiny, and I could just finish the whole jar.
And you think this helped you heal?
It helped me heal.
Wow.
It did.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. One thing that the therapist I was seeing really helped me with was to find something to look forward to when you get home. So, for example, when I would go on these dates where I'm saying I can't stop thinking about food, I feel lonely, and I just want to go home and binge, before I would leave for the date, or if it was friends, whatever it may be, I would set up my bathroom to be a spa. So I would put my diffuser on with essential oils. I had flameless candles. I had my red light in there so that I could come home and turn it on to set the mood. And I had got a bath pillow. I had botanicals that I would put in tea bags in my bath to make it smell really good. I had bubbles. I had, and I always had my Kindle. And I will say Kindle is something I also think about when I'm out, that I want to go home and read my Kindle.
So good. A good book, nothing better.
So if you can picture that, it was very relaxing for me.
Yeah.
So when I would leave that day, I would know I'm coming back for this bath. And I was so looking forward to the bath that I stopped coming home and binging.
Question for you. That's great advice. Did you eat before these dates? Because I know a big problem was that you didn't eat before these dates. So you were famished when you came home.
She did recommend that I force myself to eat before dates.
Right.
Which I started to do as well. And I did eat a little bit lighter than like typically if I didn't have a date because, again, I didn't want my stomach to hurt and I was nervous about that.
Yeah.
But I did start eating before dates.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if that helped at all.
Yeah. So I wasn't going in as hungry.
Yeah. Okay.
And it doesn't have to necessarily be a bath. You can find something that you really like and you can set up. But I do think what's really important is setting it up when you're not in that binge mindset.
Yeah.
So it was already, I didn't have to do anything when I got home.
Right.
My pillow was already there. The red light was there. The flameless candles were on. The diffuser was on. It smelled really good.
It's like me. I know what movie was on deck for me to come home and watch because movies really wrote me in. With
anything that brings you
Leo.
peace.
Yeah. Cuddles with your dog. That's a great one. Yeah.
It's just whatever can bring you peace. And I do find that baths help a lot because baths really do, when you create that environment, bring you into your parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah. That sounds great. And not activity that's not in your kitchen.
Exactly.
I wonder if that's key.
And I also closed off the kitchen. So when I started doing this bath thing, in my mind, the kitchen was closed.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't go home and access the kitchen.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was closed. I wasn't allowed in the kitchen. The next thing I wanted to get into is, might sound strange, but a salad for breakfast really, really helps me.
I don't hate that at all, for the record.
So I found that when I get beans, flax seeds, greens, anything that's really, really satiating and satisfying for my first meal of the day, I'm not thinking about food at all for the rest of the day. But if I wake up and I eat, just a piece of fruit or something small, I still think about what I want to eat next. And if I wake up, sometimes I'm really busy and I don't get the chance to eat until 1 p.m., I end up coming home and eating way too much.
Yeah.
And then I don't feel well.
Totally.
So it's really about this precision nutrition, crafting meals that truly satisfy you.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's a salad.
Yeah. Well, I also think start kicking the day off with something savory. I went through a period where I actually did this. I was eating one big salad at 10 a.m. and it was just what I was wanting at that time. So that's my little spin on intuitive eating, is where I wanted this savory salad that made me feel satiated and good. And who cares if it's 10 a.m.? I loved it at 10 a.m. So I'm so with that.
I eat my salads at 9 a.m.
Do you?
Yeah.
Still?
Yeah.
Oh, so you've been doing salad? Because sometimes I want sweet, sometimes I want savory. And I think in my mind, that's do I want a berry oats? Do I want a salad? So I appreciate them both.
And sometimes I'll even have a side of blueberries with my salad.
Yeah.
I've been going to our local grocery store salad bar at 9 a.m. and making my salad and eating it right then and there. And you know what? The salad and all the toppings are way fresher than they are at 4 p.m.
It's so true. Eat your salads at 9. Also, you might get into this, but I do feel like we're big dessert people.
Mm-hmm.
Our dessert that we also eat with the fruit and the non-dairy milk and a little bit of date sweetened chocolate chips. Am I missing any good ingredients?
Oh, I've been loving the frozen blueberries, frozen cherries, warmed up in the microwave with the date sweetened chocolate chips. And I now eat that for dinner instead of, people would have that for breakfast, whatever it may be.
Totally. Yeah, we hit the sweet, we hit the savory. And I feel like our desserts are so non-traditional, but so delicious.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I couldn't agree with that more. And a piece of fruit is dessert to me.
Yeah, 100%.
Or maybe I have a piece of 85% dark chocolate with that. And that also is dessert.
We love chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to the tips that you were giving us because they were really fantastic.
Okay. You ready for my next tip?
Hit me.
You might like this one, but you started it with those quotes.
Did I?
So I want to get back into it. You wrote me those quotes. And once I had a little bit of a better headspace, I started to put them everywhere. And I started not to only do quotes like the affirmations, but also nutrition facts. And nutrition facts are really important because it makes you want to get into the why behind taking away this food addiction.
Yeah.
And one of our favorite quotes I wrote down here is by Marcus Aurelius, is the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And leaving quotes everywhere and different affirmations is how you rewire those thoughts, how you improve the quality.
Absolutely.
And that can also be in a few different other ways. So I started with the quotes, and then one of my really good friends from medical school who I opened up to about my food addiction problem, she said, always call me whenever you feel like you need to binge and let's talk about it. But when you're in that binge mindset, you're not in the mindset to call someone. But she did give me the advice of going to bed every night thanking the universe for what I'm grateful for. And so I chose, and she was very specific with this. She said, it cannot be you're grateful for your mom or your dad or your sister or your dog. That sometimes it's going to be that. But if it's that, it's I'm grateful that my sister went for a bike ride with me today. Like something more tangible, right? That's not just
in your day-to-day,
in
not
your
general.
day-to-day. So I even thought of things. I said, thank you, because I went on a walk today and the pink flowers that I saw were so incredibly beautiful. Or the person at the coffee shop where I was studying, where I got my chamomile tea steamed with almond milk, smiled at me and asked me what my name was and who about my life. And I talked to them for a little bit. And this all goes into the perspective, right? If you're walking around in the street and you smile at a stranger, they're most likely going to smile back at you and you view the world as a happier place.
Yeah. 100%.
If you are walking on the street with a resting biatch face, they're going to have a resting biatch face right back to you. And you're going to view the world as a more negative place.
No, this isn't the exact quote because I don't have it on me, but I know I've read it so many times too. It's like you can view the world as if everything is magical or if nothing is magical. And even when I'm going in walks through a park or like the smell of trees or the daybreak or dusk, whatever it is, whatever colors the sky is going, like the smell of the trees, it's all magical to me. Like I do really feel like taking the time to appreciate these little things in life change your entire life.
They change your entire life. When I was feeling really sick, I was extremely negative. I was like, why is this happening to me? I didn't think it could be worse. I thought this is terrible, and then having these quotes around my house and saying 3 things I was grateful for every night before I went to bed that were really specific was the beginning of rewiring my thoughts. And even having the quotes around my house was really great, but I did also doom scroll on Pinterest and Instagram just for quotes.
Really?
Yeah. I was saving like 20,000, like I was literally saving 20 quotes a day.
Yeah.
And it really, really helped me rewire my thoughts. And again, as I was saying, this was a slow process, but the more that I did this, the little quotes that made me smile, the gratitude practice, it made me positive about everything.
Wow. That's really inspiring.
And I realized that, yes, I went through something that I rewired my experience of pain and food addiction to being helpful for my patients, to being, it could have been way worse. I'm not dying. I still have a whole life ahead of me. I just thought of it so differently, which again was a part of the journey and extremely helpful.
It's like going back to Marcus Aurelius saying the quality of your thoughts. You were changing this through doom scrolling on Pinterest. You were slowly changing the quality of your thoughts because you will become what you think.
Absolutely. I rewired my brain.
It's what you think.
And I had to rewire my brain because I was in that animal instinctive pathway of binge eating. And that was coming from my brain. So it all had to be rewired.
And also when you're sick, it's so easy to be, the default would be to be negative. It sucks that this is happening to you, that you had to go through this. So it's a tough obstacle to overcome, but like you could be up to the challenge, you could do it.
And naturopathic medical school is typically 4 years. And I wanted to graduate with my friends in my class, but I had to change my school to being 5 years because I had to have less of a workload when I was so sick because I was in so much pain and I had migraines and headaches every single day that I couldn't do my schoolwork. So I could focus on that, or I could focus on the opportunity that my school gave me to make this 5 years and make it easier for me so I can graduate with this illness.
Right.
And so really rewiring my thoughts also helped. But in addition to the quotes, which is my next tip, is...
And if you need, I just want to say, if you need a therapist to help you do that, that's really what you should focus on.
Definitely. And with every single one of my patients, I talk about this because of how important I think it is.
You're good, girl.
Thank you. So the next thing I think is so, so valuable is science. And this is similar to rewiring the thoughts because it's learning the science. This is a quote from Dad. Knowledge beats willpower. Set yourself up for success by learning everything you can about nutrition. If you need to put a reminder inside your fridge that says, eat broccoli sprouts because they contain the highest amount of anti-cancer compounds, do it. If you need to write in the fridge where you keep your DHA bottle in big letters that it protects you against dementia. And that when you're low in omegas, you can't detoxify properly, do it. Read everything you can. Knowledge is so powerful. And I will say that's what brought me to the end.
Wow. So you think, wow, dad's work makes a difference.
Yeah.
Even
So
for
I
his
will
own
say
family.
in this time period where I was doing really bad and eating with the food addiction, having a lot of pain, my dad always told me I needed to lose, I needed to be at my ideal weight and I wasn't, and that I wasn't doing nutritarian 100%. And he always said the money is in the last 5%.
Yeah.
And I rolled my eyes when he said that. And then I learned the science. I started seeing patients. It was a little bit before then, but I was learning a lot of the science by researching a lot of dad's work and a lot of other doctors' work as well to do my mentorship and this residency that I'm doing. And I wanted to implement everything that I was learning so badly that I realized he was right. The money is in the last 5%.
Don't let him hear you say that.
I know. And I shed 20, 25 pounds without trying.
Yeah. So I do want to talk about the weight thing because that was something that we talked about a lot as a family. Like, I'm like, Dad, stop bringing up the scale. Cara's going through this, this, and this. And he's like, I just need her to be 100%. I need her to do this to heal properly. What do you think, looking back, is the best way to handle that? Is there anything Dad could have said softer, or do you think he just needed to be?
No, I do think the
candor?
issue with Dad is that it was so focused on the number on the scale. And he didn't tell me to do any of this gratitude practice, any of learning the science, any of the bath stuff. Like, I really do think you have to rewire your thoughts and learn the science in order first before you focus on that number on your scale. Like, as I said, the 25 pounds that I lost, I didn't weigh myself in that time period at all. I didn't even know it happened.
Yeah.
I didn't know it happened until my friends started telling me that my cheeks look snatched. No, but actually, I didn't even realize.
No, I think Dad learns too throughout everything that happens to us as a family, because as a young physician, you could hear him. He's like, stop eating that, eat that, lose your diabetes, get off the medication, like eat your G-bombs. And now he's like, you have to be grateful for the world around you. You have to breathe and focus on internally generated self-esteem. He's realizing how powerful the mind is and how much it affects this stuff. And he always kind of knew, but I think we're all learning in this really new field.
Mhm.
And we're all learning the best ways to move forward and help each other.
And to be fair, you do have to know the numbers on the scales with your patients, because if they're extremely overweight and they're not losing 2 pounds a week, they're not listening to you and they're not doing it properly.
Or there's something that needs to be addressed and needs to be fixed.
Totally. But I think for a patient that is uncomfortable seeing the number on the scale, you can have them. I have patients turn around when I weigh them,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll figure out the loopholes and why they're not losing weight.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah.
Rather than being like, you're 200 pounds and you need to be 195. Like, at this point,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Totally. Because they could also, we've seen it happen where it's on the other side too, where they become a little neurotic, focusing like, I gained half a pound, and you're like, it could just be water. Let's see how it goes next
Totally.
week. It's this balance and this tricky, the mind and body are just so related, and so they go hand in hand and piggyback off each other, that it's almost, you have to address both simultaneously to really make lasting impact.
And we are talking about food addiction, of course, but all of this applies to the other end too with anorexics. I think the same thing. If you learn the science, if you have the gratitude practice and you know all of this information, it's going to go that way as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's both ends.
Yeah. And I always like to say it's not demonizing certain foods. It's lifting up the foods that are really good for us. Like, it's so true that education is power, because we'll do a podcast episode on fish, or Dad will talk about omega-3s. I'll listen to him on some Zoom call. I'll get up and I'll be like, oh shoot, I forgot DHA EPA yesterday. I'll take it. Dad, you and Dad start popping off on lignans. I'm like, I haven't been doing 2 tablespoons of flax seeds. I've been doing 1. Hearing it over and over and over really motivates you to live this lifestyle and to do everything you can with the power of nutrition.
And there's so many resources out there. Of course, there's a lot of resources that are going to tell you the wrong information as well. But like this podcast, it's why I want to do this with you so bad, is because people can listen to this in the car and say, oh, that was a cool nutrition fact. I'm going to write it down and put it on my fridge. I'm going to put it in my bathroom mirror. When I was studying for boards, I also put note cards of all my studying materials. It's the exact same thing. We're studying how to eat and how to feel good.
And I'm so grateful for, so few people have this, but I'm so grateful for our relationship. We've been best friends our entire lives, and we're very close to our other siblings, but we're 2 years and 10 months apart. We have had all the same friends.
We're like twins.
Yeah, we're like twins. And our we've been able to vent to each other about how we eat, about dealing with social interactions. And I think it breaks our heart that not everyone has that. So if we can be that for other people, we want to be.
Absolutely. We want to be their bestie in their ear. We want them to be our triplet talking about nutrition and
telling people it's okay to be themselves and to eat healthy or to not drink or do these things that society is telling us is weird.
Totally. For so many years, I did things that I didn't want to do, like going out for drinks, eating French fries, and I would feel so bad about myself the next day. And now that I do none of that, I couldn't be more confident in who I am. And I love the decisions that I'm making.
Okay, I have to dig into that. More confident. How did you become more confident?
By making choices that aligned with who I am and what I want.
You feel more seen for exactly who you are.
Yeah, I feel like I am doing what I want to do as a person. I've always wanted to be as healthy as I can be, but I thought I couldn't because my friends didn't do that or it wasn't socially normal.
Yeah.
And so that came with a lot of anxiety.
Yeah. You're a very fun and silly person naturally. Like ever since you were a kid, you were definitely like being in a room, making weird, loud noises, dancing, all this stuff. And I feel like society told you that you couldn't do that unless you were drunk or
No, I completely agree. I felt that if I didn't have drinks, I wasn't fun enough or something like that. And I do feel like for many years, my sparkle was dulled. I don't think a lot of friends that I met later in life would say I'm very silly. I like to dance. I'm outgoing. I became more quiet and reserved in certain situations because I was so in my head because I was like, oh, I should do a little, but not too much. And I didn't know if I should say something or not say something. I was always second guessing myself, really. And it's crazy that changing my food choices and being more confident in that is more confident in everything in my life.
Yeah.
In interacting with friends, in going anywhere, in my relationship.
Yeah. No, because at the end of the day, people just want to be who they are and get back to that person unadulterated by any outside influence, negative or positive. Like if you could get back to being that childhood sparkle. And I think what's so powerful about diet and nutrition is food lets you be the best person possible because you're not being bogged down by sickness.
It brings out your inner child.
It really does. So like the mental and physical synergy that people can experience, that we've experienced, is so powerful. And I think people just need to know it's okay to be who they authentically are, and trying to be someone else or being who society wants you to be isn't helping you in the end.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm so passionate about educating people, because I'm not saying I'm not here to judge you, and I'm not going to judge you. I'm confident in the decisions I'm making, and I want you to be confident in the decisions that you're making.
Yeah.
But that's why I think education is so powerful, because it gives people the power to make their own choices.
Yeah. And I think we are around people way less than mom and dad. We have people in our lives who live very different lifestyles than us. And it's okay. We don't judge them. We still have great relationships with them. And sometimes we change people's lifestyle, and sometimes they're very similar to our own, and sometimes they're not. And we're still okay sitting in that pocket because we're so okay with who we are.
Absolutely. And I've lost friends over them not being okay with me changing. But that's fine, because I have a lot of friends who don't care one bit, and they eat and drink very differently than I do, and we don't care at all. We don't judge each other. We still bond over other things. We go to workout classes together. We go on trips together, and it's never been an issue.
Yeah. And I love that when you fall into the pattern of like who you want to be and going to workout classes and going on hiking trips, doing those things, you start to meet other people that do it, and you become even happier and happier. So it really is a snowball effect. And I feel like it's an effect that's led you further and further away from that person that was suffering from food addiction. Like
100%.
I do really think you've grown so much.
100%. I'm a completely different person, quite frankly. And along the journey, I've met a lot of people who are plant-based and who do want to eat this way, even through Instagram, which sounds crazy. But I was struggling for friends. I was struggling for friends when I was also in this time period, and being more confident in my decisions has brought me friends.
Yeah.
That also think it's cool what we're doing.
I always liked you, for the record, regardless of what you were going through, but I do love seeing you smile more. And I think that's really magical. So I'm happy you're in a better place. But I've always liked you.
You have always liked me. And I will say that anything I've gone through, I could have never done without you.
Wow. Thanks.
Yeah.
Should we get married?
We already are.
Getting married in April, not to me. Okay. You'll always be married to me.
Yeah.
Anyways. Well, thank you so much in opening up. That was immensely vulnerable. And I just applaud you so much for how far you've come. And I swear this education and knowledge that you've gained through this experience is going to help. I can't even tell you how many people.
And that's really the goal. I just hope that people can live their best life. Please.
Eat to live.
Eat to live, people. Precision nutrition.
She loves it. Bye.
Oh, you forgot your own high five.
I know. Honestly, I high-fived Dad, and now I kind of want to body bump you.
All right.
Hip.